motorcycle lane splitting should be legal in all states, or I think they call it lane splitting or lane filtering. It's kind of a different scenario, but what they got in a lot of other countries where they have a lot of motorcycles is they'll have. I think this is in Thailand here. Thailand's got a lot of bikes. I think something like 40% of the traffic on the road is like bikes. Way different from the United States. Sort of like in Europe, too. There's a lot more motorcycle traffic. It's actually used for transportation, which, in my opinion, that's what it should be over here. But they have, and I don't know if this is showing it because I'm not familiar with Thailand. I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, for a number of years, and they got a stop line specifically for motorcycles and scooters, and a stop line behind that specifically for cars. And you're not supposed to intermix. What the law actually states that all two-wheel traffic, like motor scooters, motorcycles, go to the front by law, and then they're all bunched together. And what happened? And not like exactly like this. This is kind of weird how it's all like this. I don't know if these are bicycles or what, but well, they didn't have enough room. They didn't have enough room here. They all come together at the front at the stoplight, and then since the bikes got more acceleration, they go as a group away from the cars. It's a safety factor. Now, if you do that over here in the United States, they get all mad at you, man. It's like, they get all pissed off. It's kind of sometimes I think it's not just a law, it's almost like a cultural thing. Because I've seen, I see this even with cars. Like, you could be driving along a country road, and like in Florida, it's all flat, right? So on the side of the road, you might have like 30 feet of grass. No ditch or ravine or nothing like that. So somebody stopped in the middle of the road to make a left turn. You think you just go around them? No. I would. I do if I'm right behind a guy. But if there's I'm a few cars back, I don't do it. But they'll sit there for like 5 minutes waiting for this guy to make a left turn. If this was in Japan, I don't care if there's a ditch over there. These guys would be going around them. That's just how they just think different, man. They just go right to the. In some ways, they're freaking smarter. In some ways, but you can see here, people crossing the road, intermingle with the bikes, and then these are a lot of. You're thinking, oh, these are little bikes, but the reality is these guys are all riding. Actually, this is one reason I even say this as another caveat. You'll see sometimes the Harley Davidson stuff made in Thailand. Well, I'm not big on China or nothing like that. Not that, but I mean Thailand, right? Thailand, like the real China. They got a big motorcycle culture over in Thailand, man. Or excuse me, Taiwan. I said Thailand because the pictures are Thailand. I'm thinking Taiwan. 40. They got like 40% of the traffic out there on the roads is Taiwan. It might be the same way in Thailand, but stuff made in Taiwan, Taiwan. If you got no freaking choice to get the part, I ain't worried about that too much. I'd rather have it made in the USA, but they got a big motorcycle culture up there, and it's usually they got some pretty good stuff. Unfortunately, as they squeeze all us entrepreneurs out of business over here in the United States. But the thing is, I never see. I don't know what the heck a bait does. I used to call them. I don't even know what they stand for. American Bikers. I used to call it Aryan Bikers against tyrannical enactments or something. Anyway, I know a lot of people don't like that, but I don't care. I mean, I don't know what the hell you call it. I forgot. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. But they're always like against the helmet laws. The helmet don't bother me so much. I remember like in California when I was over there, they did pass that helmet law, and I was kind of surprised a lot of people complied with it because I thought the kind of people are over there, man, they just weren't going to comply with it. But they did, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that it was taking away the freedom. And it was kind of weird when I came over to Florida years later, they actually got rid of the helmet law. But I'd rather, if I had a choice, you can only pick one. Either you got the lane filtering or lane splitting, and I'm talking like, when the traffic's all stopped, going 0 to 15 miles an hour, you're allowed to go to the front of the traffic, and you go to the front of the traffic when there's a red light. That kind of stuff. Not going between cars when they're going 80 miles an hour down a freaking interstate. Not that kind of lane splitting. I'm not for that. That's idiots. That's for idiots anyway, you know? I mean, you could pass cars on an interstate, but you don't have to be blowing past them like, 80 miles an hour right between two cars. That's like stupid anyway. But I would rather have the lane splitting law where we could do that and have to wear a helmet than have no helmets and you're not allowed to lane split, because the actual fact that when you're trying to go somewhere, the motorcycle gets to be a big advantage when there's a lot of traffic. And one thing, like I remember a couple weeks ago, we were riding down by Ormond Beach in Florida, and they got a bicycle lanes there, and some guy was on an electric bike, and we're on our motorcycles, and he's on his electric bike, so his electric bike is allowed to go through the traffic on the side, right? He's like, wait, and then we finally take off, and then we're ahead of him, but he was always catching up to us, even on an electric bike, because he's allowed to go up ahead of the stopped traffic. And it was kind of funny, here we're on these freaking Harleys and stuff making all this noise, and he's got this little electric bike. It's not because his bike is it's because the law allows him to go ahead. And I was thinking, man, I don't know why they don't really lobby for that. It's like, I don't know, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't really get involved with debate. I kind of heard it's a bunch of doo-doo, but maybe not. Who knows? I don't get involved. I just do my own thing. So I looked up where a lot of this stuff is, and this is kind of what I suspected. It's like, yeah, that's it right here. Pretty much I always thought it was just California. So California only recommends splitting lanes when traffic is slow and you keep your speed within 10 miles an hour of surrounding traffic. Yeah, I know, like, the cops can still, pull you over. I remember one time we were in Los Angeles area or something. I forgot what it was. Was it Route 5 that goes up and down the coast, or Route 1 or whatever it is? It was Route 5. And we went up, we did 5 miles or so of getting ahead of the traffic, and the cop finally, he didn't give us a ticket. He just put his lights on and said, you just pull in traffic and quit doing that shit, whatever the hell it was. But we weren't doing nothing wrong, but they just kind of you got to be nonchalant how you do things. Never try to piss off people, and just ride your bike and be normal. That's what I look at it like. Some people, but what I was thinking is, if they had a law where you can do this, especially if there's a law like they have in almost all these Asian countries where they got a lot of motorcycles, it's the law where you go to the front of the traffic at a red light. And the reason they have that is for safety. So all the bikes go to the front, and they're all grouped together, so the visibility is there. Everybody knows there's all bikes there. And then they take off as a group. It's just the bikes have faster acceleration than the cars. They don't impede the car traffic. Then they go to the next light altogether. And you can make twice as fast time without breaking any speed limit laws, just for the fact you're on a motorcycle in a lot of stop-and-go traffic light situations. So here, if you're looking at every state, it's, shoulder surfing is legal when traffic is stopped. Yeah, so, anyway. Yeah, I didn't know this. Not specifically prohibited by state law. That's in Kentucky. I didn't know that. And I didn't even know this about Missouri and Mississippi, not specifically prohibited in state law. I didn't know that either. Montana, moving under 10 miles an hour. But Montana, man, there's no traffic there anyway, man. What the hell? Where are you going to get? If you're in Montana, I mean, you're going to be looking at, there's not, the towns over there don't have major traffic unless, you're talking a capital city of Butte or something like that. Now, places like New Jersey and New York, especially the metro area, that should be all legal, but they're not. North Carolina, I didn't know this, so I guess I was going to say that California was the only state that it was legal, but there's a lot of states that where it's not specifically illegal. Most states it is illegal. But the states that allow it usually are pretty rural states. Like here's West Virginia, man. So the states with like the big population. Now this would be cool if Texas does it, because Texas is like the second largest state in the country, and and it's very big by land area too. So if they do it, since California's got it and Texas does it, I think Florida should do it. This should be one motorcycle law that I think is smart. Like, I don't have a problem with. Sometimes laws are really needed because you got to have a law because there's such idiots out there. You got to make it like illegal that they don't do something really stupid. Now, as far as motorcycle laws, I mean, I just like a gazillion of them, like depending on the state. But some states have it where you have to wear eye protection. Well, you know what? I mean, I could see if you're going 10 miles an hour, you might not need it, but you're going to have to be some kind of idiot not to wear eye protection when you're on a motorcycle, even if you got some kind of windshield, unless that windshield is like really, really big and it's going up over your head or something like that, where you're almost in a bubble. Having eye protection is really smart. I don't even mind the freaking helmet laws because, well, I don't really wear. I should not say this because I think hopefully I don't jinx myself, but I only wear a half helmet. It don't feel like much. So, German style half helmet, and I don't wear. I don't. It's real lightweight and stuff, and it don't feel like nothing. And it's got like a little bit of visor built into it because it's that style, and it's got the shrapnel protectors on the side because it sticks out a little bit, and it's good to carry stuff in. Like if you have you take it off, you put it on your arm, and you want to throw some junk in there. It's good. It's like a handbag, So it's handy. I don't mind the freaking helmet law too much. And the other thing is it protects you from bugs, rocks, hard rain, and extra cold weather. And even though it's a half helmet, it helps a little bit. I don't mind the helmet laws. What I really don't like is when because I was overseas a long time, like over 6 years, and I'm looking at all these people, like, there's a lot of bikes out there, and they were like, they're splitting lanes left and right, and it's like, it's no problem. No problem. The cars are more used to it. You get around way, way faster on a motorcycle overseas because of that rule. Now, in the United States, like, if you're like, spread out, like I didn't even realize there was a few other states like Montana and Utah where you got some kind of like, you could move up amongst the traffic if you're going like 10 miles an hour or something like that. I didn't know that. But, those states, I mean, they're way out in the open, You want to see states like in New York metropolitan area, Connecticut, New Jersey, Florida, I don't know, where's another, Illinois. I was kind of surprised about Kentucky, man. That's pretty freaking cool because Kentucky's a pretty good state, But this is something. I don't know. I don't know what these guys do, but man, they're always like trying to freaking get the helmet laws removed and stuff, and I'm like, I don't really care about that, man. If anything, I would get behind is getting back where we can go to the front of the traffic, or make it like that's the law. This way, because it works absolutely fine over in these other countries. The problem we got here in the United States, I don't really call it a problem, is it's like motorcycles in the United States are recreation orientated for most people. They're not really like transportation. And I know they're not the perfect transportation because you can only put so much crap on a motorcycle. I mean, one time I had my motorcycle loaded up like really high with all this junk. It was actually kind of unsafe, but I was only going like 3 miles to get all my stuff someplace, and I did it. But you kind of like looking like one of those rickshaw things in Vietnam or something. But you can load it up quite a bit if you're going slow and you're not going really far. But it is kind of screwed up for a lot of things because if you're going down to Lowe's to pick up some lumber and you got your motorcycle, I mean, unless you got some kind of trailer or something, you're screwed. But yeah, if you're gonna pick up some, 5 80-pound bags of concrete and you're on your motorcycle, unless you got some kind of reinforced sidecar, it's not the perfect thing, but it is pretty good for a lot of stuff. And I think I don't know why it's out of favor in the United States. It doesn't make sense. It's supposed to actually be a cheap, more economic mode of transportation. But now what you see in the United States, it's almost the exact opposite. It's like a status symbol, or I'm this, I'm that, I'm all this. I don't care about that junk, man. I mean, not really. I don't care about it at all. I just figured I'd put this video out because I was just thinking about, what really should bikers, let's not even call them bikers, or anybody that rides a motorcycle or two wheels, what should really be a top priority? I think this, getting, because if California, the most restrictive, high tax state with all this BS rules and all this stuff they got going on here that's bad for it, and that people are moving out of California, they got better motorcycle law about this part, about they could do lane filtering or lane splitting or whatever the hell it is. I think it's lane filtering they call it there. They got it. I mean, they got California Proposition this. They're so safety conscious. This causes this causes that. Beware of this, And yet they allow this for the motorcycles. Well, if that freaking place allows it, every state should have it. And like they're worried about trying to get rid of all the helmets and laws and stuff, I personally don't think that's a smart thing because I don't trust that helmet even if I think, well, I got other helmets. I got like 4 or 5 of them or something. I got other helmets that for colder weather. I don't trust no piece of plastic for me. That's just how I think of helmets. I know they say they'll save. I don't. I think I'm the main thing that saves me, not that helmet. But I'm not worried about not having a law, removing a law about a helmet. I would really, and nobody does this. Nobody does this. And you're thinking, are we so stupid we can't freaking do this? Look at, and you're saying, these aren't all small bikes. They're all over the place. I mean, this is Vietnam or something like that. But it's every Asian country. That's exactly how they do it, man. Bikes go to the front. Bikes are allowed to lane filter. California does it, right? So, what the hell's the problem? It's not on anybody's radar. You ever hear much people talking about this? No. I think I put a video out on it years and years ago. Probably got buried somewhere, but I figured I'd just mention it. I mean, I'm not really no big voice on YouTube, but it's like, I'm like, if you want to make two wheels, especially a more practical mode of transportation, well, get back, make it so you can, not do some wild Evel Knievel stuff flying through the traffic, but just you slowly go up to the front. And as long as people understand that's the law, that's what you're supposed to do, well, then, they're not going to get mad. If you make it like it's optional, they're probably still going to get mad because that's just the way Americans think. I got a big car and I got to sit here and wait. You have to wait too. That's just how they do it. I don't care because most of the time, well, I know back in the day when I used to be riding to work all the time before they had that incident where they stole the bikes in the parking lot. And they stopped riding to work after that. But I used to ride to work all the time. I was like always, I was always wishing they had that law over here. Because I'm in a hurry, man. I'm trying to get over here, man. You guys are getting in my way. Damn, I got a whole freaking, I can get ahead of all this garbage and, the United States don't have this. Because I was over in Japan. I remember this. This is not Japan, but it's similar. This is Thailand. And I'm talking about, kind of went off on a tangent. You'll see a lot of aftermarket Harley parts made in Taiwan. You know what? we're stuck, man. I mean, I'll tell you what, but you know, they're probably the quality is there as long as it's not made. Supposedly, you know, that's good old Chiang Kai-shek country, so good enough, I guess. What are you gonna do about it? But well, just to go off on that tangent a little more, I personally try to get from like S&S a lot. You know, those guys. Or go on DK Customs or something. Where the hell did I buy my gas tank from? I bought some stuff from these guys. I always usually buy it from a smaller place. You know, American all the way. I already said if I had like gazillions of dollars, like you know, instead of going to Harley and paying $40,000 for a bike, I'd probably do it for maybe 30,000. I'd get the frame from Paco, just front end from Paco, the engine from S&S, the transmission from Baker, Barnett clutches and cables, Performance Machine wheels and brakes, right? Mustang custom tank or something, maybe from Paco again. I would not get a Harley. It would be a Harley. It would be one. But none of it would be manufactured by the $50 million a year CEO and this next yo-yo that's coming about. But anyway, you're just going to have to go full tilt renegade to freaking stop all this crap. And I know, like, you know, I don't know. I understand. Like, I don't understand why people are freaking concentrating on helmet laws when they should get rid of this freaking illegal to do lane filtering law. To me, this is like priority number one. I mentioned it before. It's really not on anybody's radar. You know, you're worried about all these other things. I don't even think if it's a matter of freedom. It's a matter of actually, it's more safety for the motorcycles. More safety.